I'm going to be covering how I made this cinematic with Unreal Engine, exploring the weather systems with ultra dynamic sky. And so we're just going to hop in and put together this scene. So first we're going to hop into the Unreal Engine marketplace and download ultra dynamic sky. It's like $40. Totally worth it. One of the best purchases I've made for Unreal Engine in my career. And then there's just a couple of other things I got through the free monthly products, but if you aren't on the free month, it will be about $40 as well, or you can find some other tree assets to do. Then I've got my render queue presets that I use. You can get them on Gumroad for about $2. They're pretty affordable. And then on my Polycam website, I have these uploads of some scans I took from a school gingerbread contest. So we just can download all of these, and then I just selected some of my favorites, and then we can just hop into the setup with Unreal Engine, doing a game blank project with ray tracing, give it a good name, and then from there you just create your project and let it compile. Once it's open, then we're just going to come up to the file and make a new level. And I would like to run with the basic, just because it's pretty simple. I'm going to click create. Now we're in our scene and hit save so that we can make sure that we don't lose any progress on our level if Blender or Unreal Engine crashes. So next we're going to add ultra dynamic sky to the project, and we're just going to find our project and throw it in there. And then I'm going to find my trees, drop them in there as well, add a project, select it. If you can't find it, then you can do the show all projects, but I think for this one it's good. Alrighty, there we go. Now we have everything on that side, and we just need to import our Polycam assets after we delete and import the ultra dynamic sky into our level. So we're just going to go to the blueprints folder. I'm just going to drag an ultra dynamic sky and then eventually the weather plugin as well. I'm just going to make sure it's centered on the origin and then drag it into that lighting folder so that it stays organized. Okay, and there's our sun, looking good so far. Clouds just compiled. Looks nice. Okay, let's get started. So let's get building our materials. So we got to import these Polycam assets, and I'm just going to call this candy houses, something like that. And we're just going to find our Polycam assets in the folder or file browser, and we're just going to first make a material. We're going to start on the master materials. I'm just going to make this the master candy house, and we're just going to bring out some base color texture options, and we're just going to make them parameters so that we can bring in our color maps from what we photo scanned. I'm just going to break out some of these into parameters as well so that we can adjust them in our instances. And we're just going to make sure their name's good, apply that, and we should be good to keep going. Now we're going to add in the weather function, because to get the snow and rain effects on our objects, we need to have this integrated into the material. So we're just going to connect the corresponding node targets together, and then we're going to just put the parameters or image texture parameters into the back end of that. So that should be a good start, and we can click save. Alright, now let's drag these in and just make sure everything looks good. These are GLB files, and we're just going to import the materials as instances and see if it works with this master material. Looks like it did not work. Never mind, no, it worked. So we just need to activate each one and drag in the color textures to the corresponding materials. And so that might take a bit, but that's what we're going to do here. Alrighty, now if we double click on one of these, we can inspect the elements and see what it looks like. And they're pretty low res scans, but when the whole scene is compiled together, it looked pretty darn good. So we don't need to worry too much about these. It's supposed to be kind of a cartoony thing. So let's just get into the tree master material and edit that default material so that we can add weather effects to the trees as well, because, you know, it would look weird if we had snow on some things and not on others. So we're just going to find this master material by finding it in the hierarchy, and then we're just going to start looking at the different node parameters and where we're going to need to put that weather effects node in between all of these. So let's just call it up and plop it in here and figure out where they're coming from and plug them into the back and then back into the material node. Alright, get these connected. Now we should see weather effects in there, and let's just add it to the leaves as well. So just right click, and then we're just gonna bring these down so that they're close and we can see them all in the same window, same view, and then we're just going to type in snow and get the snow and dust effects and plug them in again. Bring those in. And then we'll just plug them back into the material node. We call this the BSDF node in Blender, but I don't know what this one's called because it's not strata materials. So then we're just going to check everything, and it looks good. So yeah, looking cool. I think I'm going to turn off this emissive intensity just to make the leaves less glowy and fit into the scene a little bit better. And I'm going to do that for the bark as well. Just makes things look a little bit less shiny and makes sure our shadows actually look good. So we can close that. Now we come back to meshes and crystals. Let's see. You know what? Let's just edit the master material here. And see, oh, never mind, it's actually the trunk one, so we're okay. Sweetness. Alrighty. Let's zoom out a bit. Get kind of an overhead view, and let's start making our floor a little bit bigger so that we can build out a nice scene. We're just going to duplicate these by holding Alt and then dragging the arrows, and it gives us a nice larger floor. Again, if you want to duplicate those things quickly, then you just hold Alt down when you drag on the gizmo with an object selected and it will duplicate it. And we're just going to start bringing these in. Might need to change some of the origins, but I might just raise them up with transform instead, because that might be easier. I just wanted to intersect directly with the floor because we're going to have snow on the ground as well, so it's not like it's going to be too big of an issue if the ground is not showing. I'm basically just going to start placing these around the level. So I'm just going to try and build out a basic block, you know, like a intersection, and have some houses lead up to a larger building, which I've dubbed this Pretzel Cathedral. I'm just going to bring in a cube, and I'm going to use these to make like the curbs. I'm going to make some curbs to border the road so that it's a little bit more interpretable as is, as well as gives us some leading lines while we're animating to frame our shots. There we go, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to keep adjusting these and line them up so we got a nice little block. Once I have my block laid out now, I can use that as a guide to finish laying out the rest of the photo scans. So this is looking pretty darn good. So I'm just going to inspect anything, make sure I like the placement of these current houses and kind of the hero shots, and then we're just going to keep on placing stuff. I want to have an interesting variety of these pathways and houses, make sure that we're just reusing the same 10 models or so. So I don't want it to be too obvious that there's only 10 houses. So we're going to mix them up and make sure that they're evenly distributed. Yeah, we're just going to duplicate these and make them go further out, and then just pull them over. Fast way to make the block without having to do a ton of extra placement. We're going to come back to the content folder, add Quixel content. We're going to find a couple of textures and models that we might need to make this scene even cooler. I'm just looking for like a ground. We'll just take this medium quality. Again, we're going for kind of a cartoony look, so it's not like we need super high-res photorealistic textures here. And these already look good enough, so we're going to bring in the snow one and see what it looks like on the ground. Yeah, it looks kind of crazy. Very tiled. Don't know if I like that. Yeah. I think I like this one better, and we'll let the snow actually settle down. So next we're going to use the Foliage editor in Foliage mode to distribute our trees. This is a pretty quick process, so I'm just going to sort by static meshes or search static here, and then I'm just going to pull these 3 trees right here that resemble a pine tree. I like the pine trees because they resemble the ones that surround my home and the forest area near my home. So we're just going to set our density, and yeah, this is really intense, so I might want to bring this content browser back down, and then I'm just going to select all of these except for the crystals and just start painting a real dense forest here and see what this looks like. And just blocking things out. I may not keep it, we'll see. Yeah, I think I'm going to change that density just a little bit. Make it a little bit lighter. That's too light. This feels a lot better. Once we've got that done, then we can kind of look around and place any extra trees around the houses that we want so that people can have trees in their yard. And then we can see the wind blows these nicely. Always got to love a good blueprint that comes with that. And we're just going to change the scale of some of these crystals so that there's some variation. And then when we place these, you can see that they show up in different sizes. And I don't know, you don't need the crystals. I just thought it would give kind of an icy look. Alrighty, that looks like a good little scene. So far we're coming along very nicely. And I might just duplicate this to make the forest extend a little bit further out. Oh, hold Alt. And I'm hoping that the trees will also, yes, there we go, perfect. Now we can have a little bit of an extension with that forest. Now we're just going to handle our final weather setup, and we're going to bring in the ultradynamic weather. And by default, it's usually raining. If you go to the details, then you can select one of these preset weathers, and we're going to do snow. And we're going to try the light snow. And then we just need to make sure that we, which I forgot to do, is add the snow and dust effects to the master material of the ground texture. Now we should be good. And there we go, snow is showing up, so let's try full snow. Ooh, that's nice, I like that. Okay, just check to make sure materials are activated so that we have the weather effects in them. And make sure everything looks good. And again, apparently some of these kept their intensity in the material instances, so I was just going back and fixing those. And now we have this very nice, super snowy world. I think I want to kind of change it up a little bit. I think I'm going to custom build the snow environment because I want to be able to see the sky. And so we're going to bring in some snow on the ground, and we're going to make sure the snow is coming down nicely. And then from here, we just want less cloud coverage so we can see some of the sky. But I want it to be kind of night. So let's see what it looks like if we take it into the evening with the time of day slider. Now we could do like this early evening, kind of just after golden hour, or we can do something even later where we can see the moon. And I think, oh yes, with that aurora's effect going, I really like the idea of having this and maybe just the moon. So we'll just kind of adjust everything and make sure everything is just volumetric auroras. Maybe. Yeah, maybe I just like it with clouds. Yeah, we'll just run with the 2D auroras and the volumetric clouds. I think this is looking good. Just keep testing out different settings to see what I like. Next, we're going to make a sequencer. It used to be an animation. It looks like it's not there, so I'm just going to come up here and do it from the top bar. And I'm just going to name it animation for the candy houses. Save it somewhere. Then we're going to add a cinema camera actor. And this is going to be the first camera for our first shot. So let's just kind of find a framing that we like. Thinking I can get kind of like a pedestrian perspective for most of this. Almost like I'm a Google car or get something cool like that. Just checking out the camera settings, making sure I like what settings my camera's using. Gonna give me a nice cinematic look with a 1.33 squeeze. Then we're going to just adjust the aperture to be a little bit more shallow because I didn't want this to be more cartoony. Usually cartoon things seem a bit smaller on average. To me, that's the kind of look I'm looking for. Set that focus closer up front. And then we'll make that f-stop really low just in case we want to go super stylized. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll leave it like this for now. Change the focal length, see if we can get a wider shot, get a little bit more of our landscape. And whoa, we got the green coming in from the auroras. Alrighty, so I'm just going to set a keyframe for this first camera view and make sure that our FPS is 24. And let's just find a nice movement for the camera. Maybe just move it forward like this. Alright, I'm just going to set that keyframe. Just click that. There we go. Sweet. Now we can right click on these after we select them and make them linear, which just means that our camera motion will not speed up or slow down on a curve. There will be only straight lines on the curve, or what do you call it? like where Bezier curves are normally there. Anyway, we're going to make a duplicate of that camera and bring it in. And I think I went and took a break for water or something here, and then it saved. And we're back already. So one thing I'm noticing here is it's nice and blue, dark blue. So we might want to add some lights later to make it look like people have porch lights. But I'm just going to keep working on the camera layout right now, and then we'll handle those lights a little bit later once we get this kind of movement. I want this to kind of be my establishing shot. I think that camera blockout that I made first will probably end up being my last shot actually. So let's get this kind of nice panning, rotating view from the establishing shot. And I'm just going to bring out some of these animation frames, and we're just going to center it and make some room. Make those linear. But I want the first frame to kind of blend in from slow. So it's okay to leave that first one as a cubic keyframe. Just look at this again. Yeah. Let's add some more frames. Make sure it's the right amount. Just give myself a little bit more space. Not sure what I'm going to do about that one, but we need more space, that's for sure. I probably just need to adjust the frames, the keyframes on that one, but we'll give it some more so that I can make some of the camera shots. I'm okay if this one's a bit slower. It's not like a social media thing. It's just like a fun experiment, cinematic I'm doing. Yeah, alright, so we're gonna bring in that third camera and kind of set up our view. Let's just explore some different angles. Maybe we get like close up or looking over the shoulder of the, maybe? I don't know. Maybe we just want like a front, like we're driving down the street looking out the window. Or what if we were walking towards it? That'd be interesting. Kind of like we push in or something. I think I'm going to do a panning here. But I want to do the push in somewhere, so I'll probably put that somewhere else. Make sure those keyframes are linear. There we go, nice smooth pan. See what this looks like together. Just like to see everything in context. Alright, liking that. Now let's add more keyframes. So yeah, I'm going to start adding those lights, and now let's make it look like they have porch lights. So I need to adjust the temperature. These are too white. I don't want it to be like all white. I want it to be kind of an orangish look. Bring down that intensity. Make them a bit more just softer radius so they have softer shadows. Bring down the attenuation radius use the temperature to make it warmer. Don't want it too warm, but I kind of like this kind of firelight looking. Yeah, just wanted enough to look like it's illuminating the front porch area. Okay, maybe we'll do some slight adjustments, make the temperature slightly different so that we get some variation. So bring this in front of a couple of them, and then we'll put different colored ones on the ones that I haven't placed them here. Bring a duplicate one up here. Remember, again, I'm just using Alt and then dragging the gizmo, and it will duplicate the object I've selected, if you didn't remember that. And so we're just going to keep throwing these around. Alright, let's look at these shots again, see what they look like in the cinematic. Make sure that focus is right. I like where those... I like the sky right now. Yeah, I like where those auroras were. Let's see. Let's bring in my presets and we can get this rendered out, or at least have them preloaded into the project. Remember, you can't drag them in, so you gotta right click on a folder that you want to import them and show it in the Explorer, and then you can copy and paste it in there. Yeah, cool beans. Cool. Then if we open up, oh yeah, we gotta activate the movie render queue. So go into plugins, type in movie render queue. Then we should be good. I'm gonna also add the Apple ProRes, and then I'm gonna restart. Alrighty. Now we're back. Back in black. I can make sure nothing looks weird again. Then we should be able to open this up and plop in our... Make sure all the console variables are there. But yeah, this preset is pretty easy to use. And I like the ProRes for this one because it's just a quick thing. Usually I do EXRs with a color output, but we're not going to do that for today because this is just a test. And I'm just working quick, don't want to take up too much space on my drive. Super fast, I sped it up. Okay, now something odd here. I think I forgot to change the aspect ratio from 4K 16:9 to 4K 21:9. And so I should have changed that 2160 down to 1608, but whoops, we can just scale it up. It's not going to lose any resolution in DaVinci Resolve, so I'm not really concerned about it. Once it's done, then we're just going to open up DaVinci Resolve. So we're going to find where I saved that, and just remember, if you're on Windows, you can't open it, so you have to look at it inside of DaVinci Resolve or a viewer like VLC. I'm just going to plop it into DaVinci Resolve because then we can just get straight to the color grading and editing process. So I'm going to bring this up, drop that into the media player on the edit tab, and then now we have everything nicely placed. Now I'm just going to let it play back a little bit. 4K for some reason has been giving DaVinci problems for me lately. Don't know why. Here we're going to edit our project settings and make it 4K. But I want to do the cinematic
ratio, so I'm just going to select the cinematic 2K instead of the 4K. Then we're going to scale it up. Then we'll have some extra downsampled resolution, which gives us a nice amount of detail for this quick export. I'm going to super scale it as well. If you have the Pro version, that's a super nice thing with the DaVinci Studio, but only again available in the paid version, but it's $300 one time. Anyways, yeah, like I said, I forgot to change that to the 804, or if you're doing 4K, then it'd be 1608. So, oh well. Give it a good name. Just gonna export it as an MP4. You don't actually have to. You can leave it at the QuickTime MOV container. It doesn't make a difference. It'll play on Windows or Mac. And we just let that export, and then we should have our final render. And if we play that back, can make sure it's centered on the screen. Looks pretty cool. Alrighty. That was a quick 3 shots run. Kind of see the cartooniness. Could have definitely been a better job on the photo scans, but that was just because we had a very short amount of time to photo scan them, and I just had like the moment of inspiration. It was winter. I was excited. So, yeah.